morning, PT on Ice team. It is Monday. It's July. Welcome to July. My name is Mike Eisenhardt. I am your lead faculty for the APHPT track of courses. And this morning we're going to talk about some takeaways from a conference that I was at last week, a leadership summit that I was asked to be at and present at a little bit. Hey, Sean. So this is kind of by request. Hey, Kelsey, good morning. So Mark Rubenstein, shot me a text and saw something on Twitter and said, hey, I'd love to hear about that. Would you be willing to sort of jump on when you get on PT on Ice and tell us about it? And I thought it was a great idea. So that's what I'm going to do today. Talk really about three main things. But before we get started, let me just make some key announcements, things that, that I probably don't mention enough. A big part of what we do here on ICE is make sure we're trying to connect people to the opportunities for learnings and things that are going on. And so I feel like there's so many moving parts. I'm not usually the right one to keep up with all of it, but the things that are on track for us, just things to keep in mind. One, Summer of Move is on and away. So if you see some people posting about that, congratulate them. The big takeaway this year for you, if you're not playing along but you know of the contest, is that this year we've forced people to go out and do cardiorespiratory fitness testing in order to unlock challenges. And so you may want to tag somebody if you're willing to help them out, if you're willing to perform a CRF test, or if you just stand by and are willing to help a team. You know some people who are playing very simple tests, everything from 30 seconds up to 12 minutes. But that is a key sort of point in our population health approach of continuing to have the conversation specifically about fitness and how it relates back to health. So there is a big thing there, and certainly a way that you can get involved by just putting in some time or some energy. Other things, in August we start up the intro cohort, the next one, which is essentially the foundations course for the APHPT track. I don't say this enough probably, but as far as I'm concerned, this course is for everybody. And I'll explain to you why in a second. I mean, it couldn't be more reinforced with what I heard at this leadership summit. Clear as a bell that the people who pay for healthcare overall want health-facing practitioners. They're looking for it. They're trying to seek them out. It's really a matter of time. So if you don't know what you're talking about, and if you're not in this space at all, and you don't at least have a foundational knowledge of this, I don't know what to tell you. I think the system is going to leave you behind. I think you're going to experience more of the same, declining reimbursements, harder hustle to get the same, and unfortunately more burnout and more frustration on your part. So I think all of those things are coming down the pike. It's not a scare tactic. It's just a reality. I'll explain in a second. So it's like, the time to start getting some of this information and knowledge is really about 5 years ago. And so if you don't have it yet, you're 5 years behind. But you can start now and maybe play some catch up. So that's a big thing. And then, of course, the Rising Tide, which is really just more about getting together and being together with people who sort of share this excitement and want to be involved and really connect with others and kind of bigger purpose stuff. So look for more of that. That's in the fall. If you haven't been checking that out or the details, you've been thinking about it, it's on the ICE website. Okay, so let's talk about the three things really that kind of struck me. Let me set the stage first. The Employer Summit, this is through a huge alliance of healthcare purchasers. So what that is, the healthcare purchasers, these are people like unions and like major, massive employers. And what they do is they come together and form these kind of alliance groups. Most of them are regional or geographical. So there's one in the Northeast, for example. There's one in Pittsburgh. There's one in, Kansas City, I think. They're all over the country. And then what they do is they align under the hood of another organization, which is in a national alliance, and they all get together a couple of times a year to talk. So that's what this is. One of the times that they get together to talk, they call a leadership summit, which is what this one was. It was out in Pittsburgh, and I had met them through a contact with the APTA. APTA, as you may not know, I lead some of the APTA's employer-facing initiatives as a member, and so we've been kind of organizing and making contact with large employer groups for a couple of years now. This group is a good one. They represent millions and millions of lives when you think about all the people that they're getting benefits to and from. So all of that kind of sets the stage. They heard about sort of our model at Proactivity, and they asked me and said, hey, would you come out and participate on a panel? We think this is really innovative, and we think that it helps us solve a major problem. Just so everyone's aware, musculoskeletal health in the employer space is a major problem. It's been that way for a very, very, very long time. And some of that points right back at us because our treatment paradigms and our approaches are not good enough to solve the problem. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I think that we can all just agree whether or not, I'm not going to point fingers at any one approach or techniques, but I will think we'll all agree physical therapists are not consistent in their approach. And because of that, there's a lot of variance. And because of that, you get mixed results. And so you have some people who get really great results and some people who don't get really great results. And of course, everybody thinks they're the best. And so they sort of put that out there in the community, and the employers are buying for lots and lots of people all at once, and they get a mixed bag. And so it continues to be a costly problem. Musculoskeletal health, we know, challenges a lot of people, most Americans, and then on the other side, they're getting kind of inconsistent results. And so because of that, people are often shuttled to more invasive and more costly type care, things like surgeries, injections, and all of those things add cost, and the employer just sits there and goes, I don't know what to do about this. All of my people are getting surgeries and in pain. So kind of keep that in mind. That's been there for a very, very long time. Okay, so that's the first thing. They heard what we do and they said, look, we love this idea of kind of this whole person approach, that you're integrated, you're embedded, and we love, of course, the results. They look at our results over a 20-year period and they're like, this is amazing. More people should be doing this. Would you come and talk about this on a panel? So I did. But what's interesting is not so much my panel. My panel, I only have one song I can sing, and most of you who've been following along know that song quite well. So I'm not going to rehash what I talked about. What I'm going to tell you is what I heard. I spent 2 days there listening and paying attention and taking notes and really trying to understand. And I think that's probably the greatest value. That was the trade-off. Will you come speak? Yes, I'll come speak. But on the flip side, what I got from it was a real understanding of where the struggles are. So that's kind of what I want to share with you. First things first, the value equation. That's number one. And it should always be number one. It should be number one for all of us. Again, remember that value has a couple of components. Not only is it cost. People don't mind paying for things if they're getting a great result. That's the other side of it, quality. And so those two pieces of kind of the same coin, cost and quality, came up a lot. Okay, so here's a couple of examples. The Center of Excellence model, which was pioneered by Walmart primarily, they were kind of the big name, was talked about a lot. If you don't know this, if you don't know what the Center of Excellence model is, it's basically Walmart saying there's too much variance in surgery. We're big. We have a lot of money. We can fly our people out to the best surgeons on the planet, and it will actually cost us less, we think, because we're going to get a consistent, high-quality end product. And more importantly than that, we're going to get a lot of people who are turned away. Okay, we'd rather pay, and let's pick somebody like Mayo Clinic, or I don't know who they actually are on this Center of Excellence list, but we'd rather pay them to give us a true second opinion by experts and to turn our people back away. I'd rather fly Bob from Arkansas out to Minnesota and put him up in a 5-star hotel. That's going to cost me less than some community doctor doing a surgery that probably wasn't needed in the first place. Okay, and so that's their mindset. We have no idea the quality we're getting from providers. And so because we have no idea the quality that we're getting, I'd rather go somewhere that I know I'm getting consistent quality. So what does that tell us as providers? It tells us that people are getting sick of this idea of variance of care. Like the fact that I can go into one shop and get something and then go into the next shop and get something different and go into the next shop and get something different. Like, I'm sorry, that's not what should be happening. Right? Like, I understand every person is unique. And to be honest with you, I've heard that song for a long time. Like, yes, every individual is unique. Yes, we get that. And sure, we can continue to push back on the people who are paying the bill and say, well, let's get it all the way down to the genomics of it and let's come up with precision physical therapy. Like, I love that idea. But that's still 20 or 30 years away, and we're pushing the can down the road. What we do know is high quality care, consistently applied, will get a reasonable outcome. And we're not the only ones who know that, okay? The buyers know that too. And so what they are doing is they are literally flying their people across the country and their families so that they will get honest, consistent care. So take that for what it's worth. Now, it hasn't hit the therapists all that much yet, okay? It's hit the high dollar numbers, things like surgeons. It's hitting pretty hard, and it's going to continue to hit hard. I'm going to tell you that's going to grow, not shrink. So keep that in mind. High quality, consistency is going to matter. That's number one, okay? The second one on that is price. Price variance is as much of a debacle as quality variance, okay? They talked a lot about the RAND study. There's a recent RAND study that came out. It was primarily, poking at hospitals, and they're talking about the price variance, right? The fact that you can have away from the average prices as much as, 600% increase in prices in any one given hospital, right? Like you go across town and the prices could be 600% higher versus the other side of town where it's baseline expected. So that variance, that craziness in cost is driving them bonkers. And so price transparency will continue to be something that gets pushed for. Now, of course, if you're following the news, you know that there was some stuff on the Hill that they're talking about this, and there's more and more coming out, but I would say that's going to be a target. I saw something marketing the other day about physical therapists in private practice and kind of, talking about the idea that, that if you're in private practice, you're charging half of what the local hospital is charging. Now, what does that mean? It means that some hospitals, unfortunately, are going to get lumped in with the bad players. Small community rural hospitals, I think, are really feeling the pinch and will continue to feel the pinch because they're getting lumped in with hospitals overall. And there are some hospitals overall who are quite honestly charging way more than they should, and they're not efficient. And so because of that, they're sort of making everybody look bad. So that's another big one. All right, so that's kind of all in lump one, this kind of value equation. Quality and cost both have to be considered. Now, if you're a buyer, no matter what you're a buyer of, you expect the same thing. Right? You want to get high value. You want to get good results, good enough results, whatever that is for you, at a fair price. Like you don't mind someone making a little bit of money, but it's got to be a fair price. Again, I always try to put it in practical terms. If I have someone come in and remodel my bathroom, I want the job done, I want it done completely and functionally, and I want to do it at a price that I can afford. Well, healthcare should be no different, but it is. And so that's a big gripe. All right, the second big bullet, well-being matters a lot. Okay, and I want to get a little closer down the pike. Now, the people who have taken the courses know that I've been talking a lot about this idea of like, it's no longer wellness. Stop talking about wellness because wellness takes out a big part of this, which is really mental health. Okay, if you really want to boil it down, it's the concept of mental health. All right, that's really where the world is trying to go. People are realizing that humans are fried, that Americans are basically on fire. We're toast. We can't take any more distress. We can't constantly be running faster and faster and faster. People are exploding. Now, of course, we've talked about it for a while, and on this channel, I've talked about it a lot, this idea of sympathetic overdrive, that people are on high rev all the time, and so because of that, they're breaking down. So we have to at least, understand that, and we've got to really start linking our practices to the mental well-being of our clients. Like physical health alone is not enough. Okay, get that through our heads. Now, honestly, this scares me a little bit for the physical therapy world because I still, having been railing about physical health for a while, that still seems foreign to most people. Most people are still at kind of the joint level or at the specific body part level. The world is way higher than that. They're at the whole person, and they're beyond just the whole person's function and into the whole person and how they interface with life. So if you're not able to make that connection of how your care connects back to mental well-being, connects back to the person's mental health, you are behind the game. Okay, the front end of this world is talking about people integrating into their daily lives. That's mental health, well-being, and the ability to cope. Okay, that's endure. That's connect. If you're not up to that level and you're still just talking about move, to be honest with you, you're pretty far behind and you got to catch up quick. All right, so that one I don't have to go into a ton. Just understand that there were conversations about ACEs, okay, adverse childhood experiences, that was brought up. Okay, trauma-informed care, that was brought up. Okay, I mean, all sorts of things down the pike. Environment, social determinants of health was discussed. Okay, we're talking about big things. All the stuff that are sort of foreign and on the front end in our world, that's what's being currently discussed. That means there's some time, but it's not time forever. So if your practice is not in a place where you can start addressing that, or at least showing how you help, your value is going down, not up. Okay, all right. So let's get to the last one, and then I got to roll. The last one is that there was one thing that was striking to me, and it wasn't that it was in the conversation, it was sort of an absence of, okay, that I guess I was hoping for a little bit more. And I think there's a real to-do there for us. There wasn't an outright abject anger And again, I'm not trying to be a polarizing person. I know sometimes I am, whether I'm trying or not. But the thing that I think struck me was that if I was in those seats, I would be pissed. Like, people are getting robbed. I don't know how else to say it. They're getting robbed. Healthcare is ridiculously expensive, and you're getting an inconsistent result. I would never accept that as a purchaser. I'd be so pissed. I'd be yelling and screaming and flipping tables over. But I didn't see that. And so what that tells me is that there's some apathy on board as well. So just like we see in our profession, there's a certain feeling of helplessness that goes with this. And I think that that is incumbent upon us. That comes with an action item. It's a massive opportunity, okay? Not that we should incite anger, but we should be thinking about the fact that just like we talk about being dealers of hope, like I hear that thrown around a lot, at the individual level, the people who are purchasing this stuff need to know there is hope as well. They need to have hope in the alternative. They lit up, the room lit up when I talked about the fact that we, in many ways, prevent surgeries. Like, they asked me, who do you disrupt? You know, who doesn't like you, Mike? And I said, man, the list is so long, I don't know if you have enough time to talk about it. But one group that probably doesn't like me very much are people who are doing unnecessary surgeries. Not surgeons overall. There are great surgeons who I team with all the time. Okay? But people who are making their money on unnecessary surgeries probably hate guys like me. Because I'm in there embedded early on and can tell a person, listen, you probably don't need that. Let's give your body a chance. Okay? That right there, that conversation of there is hope for your organization. You don't have to pay 10% every single year on top of what you're already paying. You don't have to have people who are every single nick and bump and bruise going out for major medical care. You don't have to have that. And we have results to show that it's not only not helpful and not necessary, but there's a better alternative. That is what they are looking for. Now, I'm going to be very, very clear when I say this. Their number one concern about the physical therapists and our ability to handle this stuff is the ability to give a consistent result across many locations. That is the number one concern. How will you scale the quality? Okay, not the ability to get PT. Please don't get me wrong. They know they can walk into any location anywhere and get physical therapy, quote unquote. Okay, whatever that means, since it's so inconsistent across the board. Okay, but what they didn't say is, oh yeah, I know that I can get that consistent quality. There is such a thing as a center of excellence for PT when it comes to keeping people healthy and out of the healthcare system. Okay, they know they can get consistent rehab. That part, not as concerned about. Okay, they also see rehab as something that's quite expensive because we are always fighting for extra sessions. That in their mind, right? I gotta fight for a couple more sessions. Okay, what does that scream to us? It screams that that we are a treatment-based approach. Like our entire world revolves around our treatment. Okay, now that is key because that is expensive as it currently stands today. People are looking for an honest bell-shaped curve. Most of your people don't need treatment if they care for themselves. Some of your people need extensive treatment, and most of them can do a little bit of treatment here or there. So listen, I don't have the answers to all of these things. I'm just telling you what the questions that came up. There's work to do. There's work to be done, and there's tons of opportunity. But I do think we've got to keep this stuff in mind. We have to continue to find our ways together so that we can give consistent quality upstream, considering all of those factors that affect a person's entire trajectory of life. Okay, when we do that, we're going to be in good shape. Millions, if not hundreds of millions of employees represented at this conference. Therapy is on their radar. They want to work with us, but they don't want to work with us in the way that we're currently working with them. Just keep that in mind. All right, that's it for me today. I got to roll. I got some other things I got to get rolling. I'm already a little bit late. Have a great day. Hopefully this kind of a thing, interests you. If it does, jump in on the courses, dive in a little bit further, contact me. Let's have these conversations. If you think you've got the kind of practice that wants to come on board and get to that level of consistent quality, I want to help that happen. It's in everyone's best interest if you are in the conservative care space to make this happen. It's in all of our best interests. We just have to make the first step count. So I'll leave it the same way I always do. It's Monday. Make it count.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.